Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 currently inked pens for this week. I think let's just go through these briefly. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Classic Pens LM1 and this is the Flame Red. We have a Classic Pens LB5 in the Kaoseki, which is also called Metal Ore. We have the Sailor King of Pen Sakura Nagara, and this is a maki-e and a Raden pen. We have a Pelikan M805 Vibrant Blue, a Pelikan M800 Grand Place. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. We have a Visconti Manhattan Arco Limited Edition. We have a Molteni, and this is the Royal Blue Luchance Modello 55S. We have a Visconti Jacques de Molay, and we have an Armando Simone Club Il Gladiator or Il Gladiatore. So let's look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is the stunning Classic Pens LM1, and this is the Flame Red version, and this is a pen that I'm very glad that I was able to pick up from Sarge, and this was at the London Pen Show, and this was, I believe, was it a year ago? Maybe 2 years ago actually. I think it was 2 years ago. But this is a really lovely pen. I had been looking at these pens for a long time, and I was really hoping that at least one of these pens would be available on Sarge's table, and I remember I rushed in quickly on the early bird. This was in October of that year. That was before the March London Pen Show had started to occur, and I rushed in, and lo and behold, there was this pen and also the LB5 here, and I very quickly picked it up and I wanted to buy it, and I did because I have it here now. But this is a beautiful pen. I had wanted this in an LB5, but he didn't. Yeah, I think he had an LB5 in the Flame Red, but it had already been spoken for and sold. So he had a brown Kaoseki and then he had a white one. So I picked this one up, and this was beautiful. So as you can see here, this is a number 6 size, and it's a Bock nib, but it's a beautiful writing pen. And in terms of the size of my hand, you can see here, it's actually quite a nice size. All of the Classic Pens or Lambrou pens were cartridge converters, so this is no exception to that, but this is a lovely size. But this material is really quite stunning, you can see here. So that's the Classic Pen LM1 Flame Red that I have inked up this week. And then we have the beautiful Classic Pens LB5, and again I purchased this on the same day as the LM1. It was a very expensive pen show for sure, but I'm glad that I picked this one up. I do still kick myself for letting the white one go, but I had already spent way too much money with Sarge at that point in time. But you can see here, this material really is lovely. So this material is effectively called diffusion bonded acrylic, and this is a material that, as far as I'm aware, is actually exclusive to Classic Pens, and it's basically material that they take layers and layers of material and compress it together under immense strength, and it creates this sort of pattern, and then they just cut the pen or cut the rod, and you see it this way. So this pen, it's actually made by Sailor, this version, the LB5, for Classic Pens, and it's a Sailor King of Pen, but it's about half a centimetre longer. Now you can see here it has a Sailor 1911 King of Pen nib, and this is the medium nib, but this really is a lovely nib. So this is a medium, in which case it's an Asian medium, so it's writes more like a Western fine, but it is lovely. And just like the LM1, this is a converter, but it actually has a sailor converter in there. Whereas the LM1 is not a sailor, and that just has a regular converter inside. But I have had these for I think a couple of years now, and I love them, and I wanted some more, but the LB5s are ridiculous prices online. You're looking at anywhere from $2,500 to $4,500, which is a silly price. So in January this year, I decided I would actually purchase one of these. Now, unfortunately, one had just been sold in the UK, so the UK Sailor distributor had none left, and these take up to 8 months to make. Now, I was told by John Hall right here that this would take about 3 months. By the end of May this year, it still hadn't arrived, and I had cancelled the order, thinking that it was just never going to turn up. And then, in October, I was at the London Pen Show, and what did I see on his table? This pen. So I had to go and buy it, purely because this was my pen. I'd ordered this with a broad nib on, so an Asian broad nib writes more towards a Western medium nib. But you can see this is a maki-e Varden pen, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's made by Sailor, and it is a Sailor King pen. And you can see here the Sailor 1911 nib, and that is a gorgeous nib, and it's a broad nib. And just like the LB5, I'll show you here if I unscrew the barrel. Again, it's a Sailor converter. So this really is a beautiful pen, and I would love some more of these Sailors, to be honest. But they do other versions like these that are maki-e and that are Varden, but again, they tend to be in the £3,000 range, not dollars but pounds. So even more expensive than maybe what the LB5s are currently selling at. But this is an absolutely drop-dead gorgeous pen, and you can just see here, if I sort of zoom in again, you'll see here this maki-e. And the gold dust there, and the abalone shell is just absolutely stunning. So I'm really glad that I was able to pick this one up, because as soon as I saw it there at the pen show, I could not let this one go. And I have been writing with this pen a lot since I bought it. So it's just a pen that I really love writing with. It's got a little bit of a toothiness to the nib, even though it's a broad nib. I do find sailors in general, though, have toothiness. So my LB5 in a medium nib has that same kind of toothiness. It's not it's more of a it's not a scratchy nib, but it's not a smooth nib either. And it's not that it's got feedback necessarily. It's just it's a little bit more crisp when you write with it. Like the edges of the nib are a little bit more sharper than what a regular Western nib would be like. But I like it. I really do like it. And then we have this one, and this is a Pelikan M805, and this is the vibrant blue, and again, a stunning pen. And I was so glad I was able to pick this up at a UK retailer. I'd been looking for one of these for a long time and suddenly found it. And like all of my Pelikan M800s, it's got a broad nib on. I do like the Pelikan broad nibs. They just seem to work with me a lot better, and I just really do like those. And then we have this one, and this is a Pelikan M800, and this is the Grand Place, and this is a stunning pen, as you can see here. It's got a lot of brown and blue swirls going on there. It's just a really beautiful pen, and like the vibrant blue, I also have it in a broad nib. You can see there, but this nib is really, really lovely. So for me, I do like the Pelican board nibs. So again, that's another pen that I have been writing with this week. And then we have the Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove. And this is a beautiful pen. And this was a Goulet exclusive. I say was because it was around this time last year that it came out, and it sold out within a couple of months, I think, maybe 3 months. But it was a limited edition. It's a beautiful pen. You can see the dove there. It's got this lovely celluloid, beautiful, beautiful pattern there. So it's a stacked celluloid, and all of the trim is silver, so it will tarnish a little bit over time, but you can polish it up to remove that tarnish. And there you can see the beautiful nib, a Montegrappa nib, and it's a number 8 size nib, and it doesn't look it, but it is, because it actually inserts a little bit more fully into that section than a regular nib would. So it's a number 8 size nib, not a number 6 size nib. But then you can see that celluloid section there, which is lovely. But this really is a beautiful pen. It's a piston filling pen. I got this with a medium nib. I'm glad I did, although I'd love one with a broad nib as well. But I doubt that will ever happen because these are long sold out. Maybe somebody will sell one and offer me one with a broad nib at some point. If it's a good price, maybe I'll buy it. But for now, I'm happy with this one. Then we have the Visconti, and this is the Manhattan Arco. This is a limited edition, and again, long sold out. So you see here the inscription on the pen. It's a little bit faint there, but it's a beautiful Arco material, and this was in conjunction with ASC that Visconti made this pen. But it's a great pen, beautiful pen, and I do love it, although I'm not that enamoured with the nib. And the nib is one of the new 18 karat gold nibs from Visconti since they switched to 23 karat palladium. And you can see there that nib, those tines are pretty tight. So it's also a very narrow nib. So it's not only writes very dry, but it's also got a very fine line. And although it's a medium nib, it actually writes a little bit more like a fine to an extra fine. So for me, it's not a nib that I love writing with, because I do prefer wet mediums, wet broads. But the nib has character, so it's a nib that, or a pen that I do pick up quite a bit and write with, and I'll write maybe envelopes more with it rather than letters, but it's a nib that I will write with. I'll write in notebooks because it's a very dry writing nib, and it will dry quite quickly. And then we have this one that I have inked up, and this is a really beautiful pen. I went through a phase of using this all the time, and then I've not used it for a while. But this is the Molteni, and it's a Royal Blue Luchance Modello 55S. Now this is an Omas material. It's a gorgeous material. It's a blue material that the Luchance is actually a semi-transparent, or actually in places fully transparent material. And the reason why it's called a Royal Blue Luchance is because the cap itself, the section, and the filling knob here are all the Royal Blue Omas material. But this is a lovely pen, and I picked this up from my friend John Foy at the London Pen Show, and this was, I believe it was March 2019. It has a number 6 size nib there from Molteni. It's a Bock nib with an ebonite feed, but it writes gorgeously. So for me, this is a pen that I do like a lot. So I've been writing with that this week as well. And then we have this mammoth of a pen. And if you've seen any of my videos before with this pen on, you'll know why. It's the Visconti Templar, and it's the Jacques de Molay, and this is a beautiful pen, really stunning in all its glory. You can see here the amount of detail on this chainmail is very, very exquisite. So this doesn't have a clip on it on the pen, and it is a power vac filler. And I'll show you here if I unscrew the pen, and you'll see here it has quite a step down. That doesn't bother me, but you'll see here it has a 23 carat palladium nib, and that's a Dream Touch nib, and it's a medium nib. And this is a pen that, again, for a Visconti, this came writing quite dry for me. I flossed the tines, made it write more wetter. Now it's a gorgeous writing pen. So for me, this is a beautiful pen, and it's a pen that actually marked my birthday. It was a birthday present for myself. I wanted a special pen, and this was it. So for me, this was a gorgeous pen to buy. So I bought that pen. That was in February this year, and then I think again it was March this year. It was after the LA Pen Show in 2019. I bought this pen, and this pen was from Sarge, and I asked Sarge at the same time as the Visconti Manhattan to go and get me this pen. And this is the Armando Simone Club, and it's the Il Gladiator or Il Gladiatore. But it's an Arco brown material, and it's a beautiful, beautiful material. If I unscrew it, you'll see here the nib itself is a beautiful nib, and it is an 18 carat gold nib, and it's having a bit of a problem focusing, but it has this lovely metal feed going on here. So it is a really, really stunning pen, and I will show you here. It has the engraving there, but this really is beautiful pen. And in terms of size, I'll show you here in my hand. This is actually quite a really nice size, so I like it. I like it a lot, and I do like some of the embellishes here on the, not only the chocolate PVD coated nib, but I love this Greek keyband, and I also like this here as well on by the filling knob. And this is a piston filling pen, so you can twist this, but it's a really, really beautiful pen. So that's my 10 pens I have currently inked this week. I think let's go into a writing sample now. So the first pen we have here is the Classic Pens LM1. So let's do an ink swatch. You can see here, this is quite a nice red. It's quite a different red as well. If I zoom in a little bit more. So this is a Classic Pens LM1 flame red, and it is a medium 18 carat gold nib, and the ink in here is Blackstone Uluru red. But that for me is quite a nice red. It's a darker red, and it's a red that I wouldn't normally go with, but it's a red that I have gone with that pen quite a bit. Then we have again another Classic Pens. Do an ink swatch. This is the LB5. You can see that this is a bit of a finer nib. So it's the Classic Pens LB5, and it's the Kaoseki or metal ore. And this is a medium 18 carat gold nib, and the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku, and it's Sakushi. And Sakushi, if you didn't know, is effectively horse's tail. So that's a lovely colour. And then we have the lovely Sailor, and again, this is another King of Pen. But this is quite a wet nib. And I'm so glad that I got this in a board nib. It's not that I don't like the Classic Pens LB5 nib there, but I just prefer a slightly wetter, wider or broader line. I actually wrote Classic Pens. It's actually a Sailor King of Pen. That's what happens when you do talking. And it's a Sakura, Nagar, and having problems talking and writing. And this is a board. This is a 21 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is KWZ Grapefruit. Now, I have just noticed a mistake that I made. The Classic Pens LB5 and the Sailor King of Pens actually comes with a 21 karat nib, not an 18 karat gold nib. That's a distinct difference with Sailor nibs. I think they're the only one offering 21 karat gold nibs. And we have this Pelican, and this is a lovely broad nib. You can just see just how broad that nib is and how wet it is. Beautiful nib. So this is a Pelican M805, and it's the is it the ocean? No, it's the vibrant blue. Need to get my brain into gear here. Vibrant blue, and it is a broad, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Pilot Iroshizuku, and it's Asa Gayo. But that's a very nice, deep, punchy blue ink. And then we have another M805. And again, it's another broad nib. Not quite as broad maybe as the earlier one, but it's still very wet writer. So it's a Pelican M800 Grand Plus, and it's a broad 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here today is Jeheben Lee Dete. Actually, I think probably it's only that one that has it, so that's Lee Dete. But it's a beautiful ink. And then we have the Montegrappa, and I'm glad that I got this nib and pen, but at some point I think I would like a broad nib on there as well. So this is the Montegrappa, and it's the extra 1930 shiny lines dove, and it's a medium 18 karat gold nib, just off camera there. And then the ink in here is Diamine, Earl Grey. But that is a beautiful writing nib. And then we have the Visconti. And this is a medium nib, but it writes more like a fine nib. And you'll see it here. So, you can see here, it really writes more like a fine nib. So it's the Visconti, and it's the Manhattan, Arco, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Akamon SBRE Brown. But you can see there, compared to the medium and the broad nibs, it really is more of a fine nib than a medium nib. Then we have the Molteni. So, and again, this is a medium nib, so you'll see the difference here. And these are both Bock nibs, by the way. So this is a Molteni, Royal Blue, Lucents, Modelo 55S, and it's a medium 18 karat gold nib. Off camera slightly there. And the ink in here is KWZ Gummy Berry. But that is a beautiful ink. And it's fastly becoming one of my favourite purple inks, although Diamine Majestic Purple still is in the #1 slot for me. Then we have this beautiful pen, and this we'll do an ink swatch on. And this, although it did write very dry, is actually quite a wet nib now, because I did floss the tines on this, or did open the tines up. But this is the Visconti. It's a Templar, and it's Jacques de Molay. And it's a medium, and it's an 18, actually no, it's a 23 carat. Getting carried away with myself there. Palladium nib. And then the ink in here is also Diamine Earl Grey. Sometimes it's actually very difficult to actually remember every nib combination, because I have over 160 pens, so I do try to write them down, but even when I write them down, sometimes I actually get it wrong as well. That's just the problem with too many pens. And then we have this one, and this is the beautiful Armando Simone Club. This is a great pen. So it's an Armando Simone Club, and it's the Il Gladiator, or Gladiatore, and it is a medium 18 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is Akamon SBRE Brown. But it's an ink that I do love writing with a lot. So I think let's look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Classic Pens LM1 in the flame red in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Blackstone Uluru Red, We have a Classic Pens LB5 Kaoseki in a medium 21 karat gold nib, inked up with Pilot of Washizuku Sakushi. We have a Sailor King of Pen Sakura Nagar in a broad 21 karat gold nib, inked up with KWZ Grapefruit. We have a Pelikan M805 Vibrant Blue in a broad 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Pilot of Washizuku Azageo. We have a Pelikan M800 Grand Place in a broad 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Jehaban Lidete. We have a Monte Grappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove with a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Visconti Manhattan Arco in a medium, although I would say it's more of an extra fine to a fine nib, 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Akamon SBRE Brown. We have a Molteni Royal Blue Luchance Modelo 55S in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with KWZ Gummy. We have a Visconti Jacques de Molay in a medium 23 karat Palladium nib, inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. And then finally we have the Armando Simone Club Il Gladiatore in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Akamon SBRE Brown. So there you have it, that's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.